Hello and good morning to you folks. This is Cliff Graves from Train World Boxing. Now I am purposefully only doing an audio because if you get this, then if you understand it, you've got it. But I want to make it almost obtuse as possible because, like I say, if you get it, you've got it. Understand? There's a lot of these power punching videos, specifically here on YouTube, that quite frankly, if you are a fighter, MMA, kickboxer, boxer, or the like, will end up you getting yourself KO'd. It's all very well showing us punches where they've sent a telegram 300 miles away, isn't it? A professional boxer, even a seasoned amateur will see that coming and just pivot off out the way, or just use the ring and get out of the way of it. So yeah, you can go to the fairground and hit one of these slam bam ball things, telegraphing, and go, oh wow, look at me. But who are you hitting? That's what you got to remember. Who are you hitting? Remember, your opponent has been training hard and learning their craft. So who are you trying to hit? Would you hit Floyd Mayweather, do you think? Would you have hit Muhammad Ali, do you think? Would you have hit Sugar Ray Leonard, do you think? With these telegraphing, albeit powerful punches. So, what we have to do is we have to blend. We have to blend everything that we know into something different. So, well, not necessarily different, but certainly away from the norm. We are talking about power punching here. We are not talking about punches in bunches, combination punches, or anything like that. We are talking about the one hit, whether that's from a reverse backhand punch, a hook punch, normally off the lead foot, an uppercut. So when we are told to make use of our kinetic chain, that is only half the truth, folks. It's only half the truth. What they are doing is attempting to create confusion so that you end up subscribing to their channel, their membership channel, and paying the money. So, making part use of the kinetic chain. What does that involve? Well, that will involve pushing off from the feet and ankles, but only until you get to the hip area. Please pay attention. So I just want you just to get around the fact that you are pivoting around on your foot, which is driving the energy up your leg into your hips, where you rotate the hips. Okay? That is as far as what you need to go with the kinetic chain. Just the lower limb and the hips. Now, if you're in a bladed stance, your body is at a 45-degree angle. Very rarely do I see fighters go squared off. 99.999% of them will be angled off, bladed off stance, they call it. So you have pushed off, you have used the ground, you have used that ground to push off from the feet, pivoting round, which now the energy, as it were, is spiraling up your legs. This is why they say powerful legs. You must have powerful legs. So it pushed off and then initiated from the feet. When it arrives at your hips, from the bladed stance, I want you now to rotate your hips until they are squared off. Do you understand what I mean? You're in that bladed stance, so your hips are going to be angled off, aren't they? As they come round, square on to your opponent. Here's the thing. Very abruptly, I want you to stop. When your hips have squared off. Now, the way you do that is very much like the javelin throwers when they run up and they stop and they throw that javelin. They use their lead leg, which if you was an orthodox fighter would be your left leg, to act as a blocking leg, a post leg. So in our sense, what we're doing is when those hips square off, the power is still coming upwards via the kinetic chain. The hips from the bladed stance rotate around, 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 around till they're squared off. But you use this posting effect, and the way to get that is from your lead foot, planting your lead foot and isometrically internally rotating your hip joints. Have you got that? So you're coming round with your hips, utilizing the kinetic chain. And as your hips rotate around out of that bladed stance to a square off, they stop suddenly via this technique that they use when they throw the javelin, where the lead leg blocks it off. Okay? That is achieved via internal isometric internal rotation. Now, here's the interesting part. Because you have violently, aggressively, with conviction, stopped your hips going all the way around, like rotating in some cases 180 degrees. You don't want 180 degrees. You want those hips to go around not even 90 degrees. Do you understand? It's a semi-circle rotation of the hips, which stops suddenly with this blocking, posting leg technique. And what you're trying to achieve is the bounce effect with the hips. That bounce effect, which actually is going to give you the opportunity to follow through. So if it was with a rear right hand, it gives you the ability, that bounce effect, when your hips stop square, to then come through, following through, in the case of an orthodox fighter, with a lead left hook. That is what you are trying to create, that bouncing effect, that stopping effect. Think of it. If you got on a bicycle and you cycled at top speed towards a curb without putting any brakes on, and your front wheel hit the curb, what is going to happen to you? Exactly, you're going to go sailing straight over the handlebars, aren't you? So you use this kinetic sequencing to activate the lower part of you've used this kinetic sequencing to get the energy moving, to get the power moving up your legs and into your hips. Okay? The trunk just follows through. So does the arm and the fist eventually. It just follows through as a natural flow. That is akin to you going over the handlebars up. Stop of you hitting the curb, so to speak, on your cycle and sailing over. That is the follow through of the trunk and the arm. But here is where it gets really interesting. What you are in fact doing differently to what the javelin thrower is doing, the javelin thrower is producing explosive energy outwards, because they want to get the javelin thrown as far as possible. So all comes out outwardly. However, when your punch is now entered into the torso part, that is when you make impact. Like I've said, the hips suddenly abruptly stop, causes that sailing over the handlebars bit, which is your trunk sailing through and arm sailing through. When you make that impact is when you drop everything, the energy down back into the ground. Okay, you bring it inwards, different to what the javelin thrower does, throwing it outwards. You bring it inwards. You bring it in down to somewhere called the Dan Tian, which is located just underneath your belly button. You bring everything in, and down, down, down. And that's it. By doing that, you bring everything down and down and in. Now you've got the energy, the flow, which will allow you to flow through with a left hook if you're an orthodox fighter. It would be a right hook if you were southpaw. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? This is the proper use of the kinetic chain, folks. You use it to get that power with your big, strong leg muscles. You get that rotational spiral energy coming into the hips, very powerfully. The hips will rotate, spin round. It stops abruptly by the post leg, and then everything comes in. But this whole process is done simultaneously. In a millisecond. Otherwise, it's telegraphing it, and any wily fighter would tell you, I saw that coming a mile off. You don't think I was going to stand there and get clobbered, do you? Of course not. That's why they're putting in the arduous hours of learning ringcraft to prevent that. But this is the professional way of doing it. This is the properly tutored way of doing it. So let's recap. Going back from the push off from the foot to the ankle, pivoting, the spiraling energy going up the hips, up the legs, I apologize, into the hips, which causes a rotation around of the hips where suddenly, bam, you stop and you let that go, is simultaneous. The whole of it is as one, not 1, 2, 1. This is the difference of some of the current kinetic chain sequencing that they say there's a lag behind. When you're doing this, including this bit where you come in, you've drawn all the energy out of the ground, and now you're performing your power punch. When it lands, you drop down into it. You sit down on your punches. It's just a slight dip of the legs, the hips, just a very, very slight dip. And you're bringing, although you're going round with your trunk, everything's going in. You're bringing the energy inwardly, not outwardly. So it's bringing it from in front of you into you. And this is where creative visualization has to come to the fore, because you won't do it any other way. Whether you believe in these things, the Dantian and horror and all of that, it's irrelevant. It's a creative visualization. It's a visualization of it all coming in on impact. So you use that kinetic energy, that kinetic sequencing to get the thing in motion, to get the punch in motion. Then you bring it back all in for impact. And punching that way is far more powerful than punching the other way. And the other good thing about it is you will not telegraph and you will not leave yourself open. And that is it. Tricks of the trade time. Body should be loose and relaxed. Every fighter knows that, because that's where you get your speed. We want speed. We want grease, lightning, speed. And you'll get that from being relaxed. But at that moment of impact, that is when it all changes. That is when you come in with the energy. And that includes the posting of the leg. That is included in the in. That is the bridge, if you like, from when you've gone from the rotation of the hips to that stopping. The hand is flying over the handlebars bit and everything's coming in. That is the way to power punch. Now, I made a statement that you can't power punch all the time like that. And you can't. But when you need to, that is how you do it. You'll have more balance. You won't be like the javelin thrower that comes up on one leg, because you would have dropped your energy downwards, not upwards and outwards. I hope this has helped. This is Cliff Graves from Train Well Boxing. Speak to you again soon. Have a great day. Ciao.